What's going on, y'all? Let's get into it. Let's talk about the end times, right? Let's talk about stuff that people don't like to even mention, because it seems like such a fairy tale. It seems like it's so far away, right? But I got to talk about it. It's been kind of heavy on me. Talked to the wife about it a while ago, and just, I believe the Lord has, shown me some things as well. And I haven't really had time to kind of get back in front of the camera. I've been on social media writing things as far as like on my pages, on the double edge page, on my particular personal Facebook page, and even some on Threads. But we got to get into it, y'all, because I just got to tell the truth. End times, I'm really referring to what people call the rapture, which is the taking away of the church, of those that are believers in Jesus, right? We got to talk about it, and so the majority of that really comes from is really all in the Bible, kind of old and new, but where a lot of people go is First Thessalonians 4. I'm gonna be reading in the New Living Translation, 13 through 17, and this is kind of where it comes from. I said, "Now, dear brothers and sisters, we want you to know what will happen to believers who have died, so you will not grieve like people who have no hope. For since we believe that Jesus died and was raised again to life again, we also believe that when Jesus returns, God will bring back with him believers who have died." Now, this is just a promise that this was revealed to Paul, and he's, letting the church know in Thessalonica that what's going to happen. And now we get the privilege of knowing the history of that church, and also being in the present, knowing we can use this for our good in today, since we're way, way, way further down the road to when he actually wrote this to them. 15, it says, "We tell you this directly from the Lord." Now, this is just me. When I read, especially when I read the Bible, I may be reading slow. I go over terms. And I do want to point this out. The Lord is so intentional and exact, right? So we can go over certain words and it kind of just go over our head, and we just don't really let it soak in what's really going on. So it says, when we tell you this directly from the Lord, this meaning that this revelation, this is not like, hey, this is what I believe. This is what I believe I heard. No, this is directly from the Lord. It says, "We who are still living when the Lord returns will not meet ahead of those who have died. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a commanding shout, with the voice of the archangel, with the trumpet call of God. First, the believers who have died will rise from their graves. Then together with them, we who are still alive and remain on the earth will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." Okay. All right. I really want to pinpoint on that last verse, verse 17. It says, "Then together we who are still alive and remain." So first, the rapture, which in this says the catching away, right, is when those who have died in the Lord, let's say you have a grandma or granddad or auntie or something like that died in the Lord, that died with a relationship with Jesus, and you put them in the grave, you put them out there in the cemetery, they're coming back for their bodies first, right? They're coming back down, and so their bodies will be connected back with their spiritual bodies, and then they'll be lifted up. Now, those that will be alive and remain here, meaning those who not only say that they're Christian, but also have the faith and the actions and the deeds to go with it, will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And this is kind of really the point that I really want to make here. what is that verse? It's in one of the Gospels. It's saying everybody that says Lord, Lord, will not enter the kingdom of heaven, right? And this kind of relates to that when it comes to the rapture, the catching away, because it's going to be a remnant. Now, when I read it in verse 17, in this right here says, then together with them, we who are still alive and remain. I know I always looked at that and pretty much thought alive and remain were kind of interchangeable and they kind of meant the same thing, right? Until you actually search it out, listen to other biblical scholars and people that really kind of do this for a living, and really see and break down what still alive and remains mean. It doesn't mean people that are still alive and remain that profess Christianity, that, liked Jesus, that believe in Jesus, right? For those that are still alive and remain, it means those that have faith, those that are vibrant spiritually, right? Those who are doing the work, are pursuing holiness. Those that, that remain, that's a remnant of people, right? So those will be a remnant of those that are still alive, spiritually vibrant, aware, preparing, for his coming. So long story short, everybody that professes Christianity, that they're Christian, would not be caught away in the rapture, in the catching away of the church. That's my main point that I want to get to, right? And I believe this actually contextually kind of points that out in the 1 Thessalonians 4. We're still on that verse 17. It said, then together with them, we who are still alive and remain on the earth will be caught up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. So I believe there will be quite a few people still here on the earth that profess Christianity, but wasn't vibrantly living the proper way. And they will have to be here to endure the tribulation period, the 7-year tribulation. And really, that's kind of even tough to even think about it even here. But honestly, it keeps me prepared and aware that, I want to continue to pursue my faith, pursue holiness, right? Because I'm trying to get out of here on the first trip out. You know what I'm saying? And so if we look at what's going on in the times, if we look what's going on in the Middle East, in Iran, the stuff the United States is doing right now with Iran, and the stuff that's been going on with Israel and Pakistan and Turkey and all these places, these are the signs that really tell the times that we're living in. You can look at other pieces here and there in the United States of what we're going through as far as socially, the culture, the stuff that's going on in the WNBA with the Enes Kanter type thing. We can't even agree on what a woman is, or it's a debate, and it's not that, it's not this. Like, we can just see, if you look at what's going on in the Middle East and you put all together the other pieces, what's going on politically, what's going on socially, what's going on in technology, you can see that we're right on the cusp of this actually happening. And really, I want to get too far deep into it. If you really want to see what's going on in the end times and Revelation and the Antichrist and the beast and all the things that will be surrounding that, if you search it out and look at what's going on, AI will be a huge piece of that. And the AI that we know, that consumers see generally, that's nothing that's what's already in play in the background for people and entities that we don't even know, right? But as soon as the church or the restrainer is taken out the way, then all that stuff gonna be pulled to the forefront. So hopefully this will people that are not understanding me, that thinking, this is just kind of, wild talk, will kind of go search it out themselves and kind of see what's going on. But I really wanted to put out there that we are living in the last days. We're living in the last times. I believe it can happen really at any moment. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to put any type of date on it to be, that type of guy or whatever, but everything is the table is set already for this stuff to happen. It can happen today. It can happen tomorrow. It can happen in 3 weeks. It can happen in 3 years. Whatever it is, we're just told and called to be ready, right? And so the Lord is coming back for those that have faith, right? And so real quick, what does that mean? What does it mean to have faith? I believe in Jesus. I believe that, he died on the cross, whatever, for my sins. That's great. But faith alone will not do it. I want to look at James 2. James 2, starting with verse 14. What good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? Suppose you see a brother or sister who has no food or clothing. You say goodbye, have a good day, stay warm, and eat well. But then you don't give that person any food or clothing. What good does that do? So you see, faith by itself isn't enough unless it produces good deeds. It is dead and useless. Someone may argue some people have faith, others have good deeds. Again, kind of going back to what I was just saying. Okay, I have faith. I believe God. I believe in Jesus. I believe that he died on the cross for my sins and the sins of the world, right? That's great. But what do you have to show for it? What do we have to, what is our evidence? What is the receipt, right? And really all of us, it should be a receipt of holy living, godly character, integrity, the fruits of the spirit, self-control, all those things, right? And so this is who the Lord Jesus is coming back for in that first swoop of the taking away before the 7-year tribulation starts, is for those believers, not only just in their mouth profession of being a Christian, but actually in our actual deeds and the work and being vibrant spiritually, being alive, being on fire, as my pastor apostle Wade said, just always talking about that fire. Keep that fire in you, burning for the Lord, spreading the word, spreading the gospel. So when this time actually happens, which, like I said, it really can happen at any moment, any time, we won't be left behind. Because speaking for myself, I don't want no parts of staying here when the tribulation starts and the Antichrist and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I want to do all that I can to continue to not only have faith, but show my faith with my actions, with my responses, with my good deeds. Yeah, we'll talk about more about this, plus some other stuff. So until next time, y'all. Peace.